What up, Coach? So I'm bringing you a short video to just show you all the things that I've changed in my swing. And if you ever have any hitters that you're working with ever again, I really feel that this is the appropriate way to teach a swing now. A lot of the things, all of the things that we used to teach are wrong. So I want to break it down in the most basic sense. I'm going to start from the beginning, where I get in the box, and I'm going to work from there. And not everything is the exact same. So the first thing that I do when I get in the box is I make sure that my stance has my weight shifted so it's on the back half of my body. All right. So when I'm in my stance, I literally want to be able to pick up my front foot like I'm actually doing right now and not have any type of movement in my head. All right. That's where I want to be based off the weight of my back foot. All right. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to set myself up in a stance. All right. So in this stance that I set myself up in, I want to set it up so my front foot is actually closed off and open, so my big toe is actually pointing towards the shortstop. So the way that I do that, and the reason why I do that, I'm actually going to break that down. As I mentioned, I want to be able to lift this foot up without any type of movement of my head. Well, I want to put myself in my gear path that has the least resistance, and that just so happens to be like when we get into a catcher's crouch, our knees spur open when we get into that deeper position. So the same thing has to start when you're getting into that type of position when you're getting into your leg load. So I also believe in a one-legged swing. It looks a lot like your brother's. However, what I teach when you get into that one-legged swing, all right, is now I'm closed off, my big toe is pointing towards the shortstop, and what I want to do is I want to be able to get into a position where I can open the door and then swing it closed, all right, and that's with my drive forward. All right, so I get myself into that open position, toe is closed position, toe is pointing towards the shortstop, and my front leg is able to come up comfortably without my head moving. So that means all my weight is centrally located over my left foot, my back foot. So, as I'll let these people pass, it's okay. So the next thing is, right? So as I get up and into that load, I want to be able to open that door and close it shut, all right? And the way that we do so is by getting it up into that comfortable position. When the pitcher is breaking his hands, we close it, and as that ball is coming and we're ready to hit, we're striding forward. Now, I'm gonna finish with the bottom half of my body before I move to the top half of my body, all right? I actually already did this video, but I'm doing it again so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But for generations, I always had a hard time when I would stride and finish my swing, finishing and staying balanced. Now, one thing that we saw in common between pretty much all the greats, but I'm going to break down the great lefties of our generation, Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr. They both did this perfectly. And it might be because they grew up in the same era with the same type of coaches. However, both of them, when they finish, so they go through their swing, they drive, they're actually landing on their heel. So as I go through it, boom, I land on my heel, so I'm in a balanced position. I'm not going to be falling backwards. But it's also a way for me to transfer that weight back towards my back half of my body. All right? Because with things that I'm going to show you later on, it's going to translate to you finishing and being able to whip through with a faster swing. Now, upper half of our body. Some things that we taught that we don't teach anymore. I believe that you used to call it bar arm, but some coaches call it throwing your hands into a hitched position. That's actually exactly what we want to do. So anybody that told you otherwise is completely wrong. So, and when I say completely wrong, I mean 100% wrong, because there's one way to do hitting, and it's the right way, and then whatever way we are continuing to make ourselves better and learning more about it is the right way, and it's continuously evolving. So the right way to do things. So first things first, I'm just going to run you through the bottom half. Foot starts closed. All right, weight's on my back foot. All right, my big toe is pointing towards the shortstop. That's preferable. All right, I get into a position where I can lift my leg up as many times as I need to, balanced and comfortable. That way, when that ball comes and the pitcher's breaking his hands, I can draw my hips back. All right, so that's a big one. So next thing's next. Upper half next. So with the upper half, the things that we have been taught generation after generation is we wanted to hit down on the ball and we wanted to hit the top half of the ball. Wrong, wrong. Next, we also taught that we want to throw the knob of the bat at the ball. Wrong. All right, so with those three things being wrong, let's talk about the right way to do things. So let's imagine at the bottom of our bat, we actually have a flashlight. And if we were to have that laser pointer, a flashlight on the end of the bat, and we were to go through our swing, finish, and swing, all right, in order to get into the proper load, which is actually spilling the water and dropping our back shoulder, two other things that we taught not to do, but we have to do in order to be a good hitter, all right? That what that allows us to do is draw a line towards the shortstop, and what that does is it gets our shoulders into the right position. Because not only are we doing this, where we're pointing it towards the shortstop, our hips are also rotating. So even that inside pitch becomes easy to hit. All right? Now, lastly, the top half of the body. As I'm moving forward, all right, so I've already decided to close the door and I'm swinging it shut, my hands actually have to graze backwards. The reason is in order to unlock the next action, which is the angle towards the strike zone, what we want to be able to do is we actually move with our bat in this type of direction. So as we're going towards it, it's so much easier to get there. Now notice my elbow directly underneath the bat, directly underneath my shoulder, in a good position to be able to drive forward. My hands, before they hit the ball, probably move about this much. Dead serious. So as I go through it, and I allow it, how much have my hands moved? They haven't moved too far off my shoulder, as that is the place that I can generate my power from. Lastly, too, we used to talk about how don't swing a magic wand with our top hand. The most important thing that we can do when we're throwing a baseball is make sure that we're nice and loose. Now, the thing about our accelerating and decelerating muscles with our shoulder is we can only accelerate as fast as we can slow down our arm, so decelerate. The same thing with a swing, all right? The end of your swing should be long as hell. How do you do that? With one hand. We watch all the greatest hitters in baseball, your Barry Bondses, and I love to go to these guys, and Ken Griffey Jr., who got the most out of their fucking body, all right? What would they do is as they're on their way to the baseball, they allow ourselves more time by disconnecting with the bat to decelerate their swing, which allows them to be quicker to the ball, believe it or not. Now, with all those things being said, I know it's nothing similar to what we used to teach. However, as we evolve as hitting coaches, we have to be able to teach what we preach. And if we want to drive line drives into the outfield, we need to get our hands into that spot. And as long as we are not drifting with our head, falling forward, or doing any type of Iraqi type motion, we're great. But for a finished product, this is what it looks like. All right? So I'm up there. My PVC pipe is closed. So I want to make sure that I'm on my back hip in a position where I can lift this front leg up comfortably. All right? So I'm in a nice little comfortable position right here. I lift up, I close. My hands come back as I'm going forward, all right? So as I do, and I open up that heel, it allows me to replace this shoulder that's dipping with this shoulder right here into that high position. And when we do that, it puts us into a nice balanced position where we can gather the balance off of our heel. All right, now this is not what we teach kids, but this is baseball advanced, like a 300 series class. Craig, I love you, and the rest of my baseball family might see this. I'm bringing it for you. I just want you guys to understand there's a better way to do this.